All right, YouTube. What happened to the lighting? Oh my God. Got a new light. Check it out. Watch this. Oh boy. Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Let me turn it down a little bit. Somewhere about there. Okay. Close enough. Good enough. All right. Welcome back to Megapixel Monday. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about a lot of things. I wasn't feeling too good on Friday, but feel better today. And today I'd like to sort of talk about one thing that a lot of people still are jamming down people's throats. That this cameras like the R5 III and the cameras like the Z6 III and all of these, they're just they're an update, they're faster, but not really warranted, this, that. You got to keep one thing in mind though, with the amount of features, the speed, and forward technology, that where technology is going. Yes, megapixels are going to be very important to some line of cameras, but to some line of cameras it doesn't really matter. 24 is enough and we're good. Like the Nikon Z6 III, for example. Now with the R5 Mark II from Canon, slightly different story, because they were able to match the image quality of the non-stack sensor with a stack sensor. To me, that is a huge leap and achievement, because up until now, even on Sony cameras, every time a sensor has gone stacked, it has actually taken a pretty decent amount of penalty in image quality, dynamic range, all these things, right? From an A9 II to A9 III, obviously you went to global. You didn't even go stack, you just went from stack to global, so obviously another penalty. Does that make the A9 III a bad camera? No. As long as you understand what you're doing and you're willing to bring in the light when you don't have light, you'll be fine. It's not a problem. Same thing with the Z6 III. Yes, the dynamic range is a little bit lower, right, on this, semi-stacked or whatever, partially stacked sensor that apparently Sony made for them. Which only means to you is you need to get your exposure right. So practice all of the things that we've been talking about with exposure and get your exposure right. And a lot of these things will be a mute issue, right? I think the Z6 III actually has a mechanical shutter. I've never used one. Like in a mechanical shutter thing, I just used it like in the electronics. So I think it does. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. If you use a mechanical shutter, you probably get higher dynamic range out of the sensor, which is great. So you should be fine. With R5 II, it's the same thing. It has a mechanical shutter, so use it. That's what it's for, right? And someone, it was funny, just pinging one of you, was asking the question. Are you aware that the R5 II actually has a limit of a half a second on the electronic shutter? Yeah, I think so. It's stacked. It uses a lot of battery power. If you're going to do that, you might as well just use a mechanical shutter. Right? It's there. So you have that option. So you can go to 30 seconds if you want, and you can go into the bulb mode and knock yourself out. You can leave the sucker open all night. So it's good to have the choices. But with megapixels, it's you got to pick the best evil of the two that works for you. You gotta pick your own poison. I would recommend that you figure out what you shoot, how you shoot it, right? How you edit. That's another very, very important thing. What you edit on, think about that. And do you have enough storage when you're dealing with high megapixel cameras? Because the amount of storage that the R5 II files need, and Sony A7R files, and cameras with huge sensors like the Nikon Z7, those kind of things, you can't chimp on storage, right? And especially as fast as these cameras are, you shoot 20 frames, 30 frames a second, pretty soon you're at, a terabyte without even blinking your eye. So give that some thought and think about what you're doing. So the lesson today, high megapixel cameras, always go for them if you want, but understand what you're shooting, how you shoot, how you edit, and how do you produce the final image. That's very important. If you're not clear on those things, do not buy high megapixel cameras. And also, if you're going to put cheap quality optical lenses on high megapixel cameras, you're going to be very sorry. So buy the higher end glass like we've been talking, and you'll be just fine. So with that, that's your Megapixel Monday. Short one, sweet, to the point, but understand what you're trying to do and then figure out which high megapixel camera or 24 megapixel or lower camera is going to fit within what you are trying to do, and find the best one that works for you. With that, like, subscribe, be nice to each other, go out there, create your magic, and I hope you actually like my light. It's kind of cool. So I'm going to end the show by doing that. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.